Recording in progress.
Yes, we were discussing about the role of the proteins in the cell membrane, and we discussed that when there should be transport proteins available throughout the cell membrane for what purpose? To allow polar and
What did you say?
I'm saying what why there is need of transport proteins throughout the cell membrane.
To allow polar and
Hmm.
ionic substances to enter the cell
Yes,
through the cell
and
membrane.
why cell membrane don't need any of the carriers within the for the non-polar substances. Why is it so?
Because nonpolar substances
Hmm.
can pass easily through the hydrophobic fatty acids.
Okay, because there is a long fatty acid chain. That's why in the
Yes.
phospholipid bilayer you don't need it. Okay, now one more thing about this topic. This topic is completed. The role of the phospholipids, cholesterol, glycolipids, and all this. They ask you about the fluidity. Okay, they have asked in the past paper that how the membrane become less fluid. What are the factors
Um,
on the behalf of which the cell membrane can become less fluid? Like there is less
um,
fluidity in it. I'm writing the question over here.
the
Think
the
about it.
from the from like the temperature affects it.
Temperature. Yes, yes, exactly. You
Affects
are right.
the cholesterol.
How
Cholesterol.
the temperature factor is related to the cholesterol. This is one point.
Yeah.
This is one reason.
Okay.
Now tell me about this.
Temperature.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when it is cold,
Mm-hmm. Can you hear me?
yeah, one second.
Okay. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Whether
so
okay, no, you can tell me on high temperature there is less fluidity or on low temperature, like on cold temperature. Low
um,
means cold temperature.
yeah, so when the temperature is low,
Hmm.
the fluidity is the fluidity is less
Okay. Why?
because because the phospholipids are closer together,
Hmm. Yes, exactly.
so it's more tightly packed.
Basically, yes, they are not tightly packed, and they they cannot move easily. They cannot freely move. Just like we have discussed the fluid mosaic model. In that, I told you that whenever you talk about the fluid, it means substances that it means the cell membrane is not a rigid structure, and substances can move through the cell membrane, the lateral movements, right? When we were discussing the
Right.
fluid part of the fluid mosaic model. So when there is less fluidity, it's obvious it will happen when there is less temperature. So at a very low temperature, when you have a less temperature, at low temperature, we say that the movement throughout membrane is not frequent. Is not frequent, and it will cause the structure to be more compact. Okay.
Okay.
So when the structure will be more compact, obviously there will be less fluidity. And yes, there is one more thing which is responsible for decreasing the fluidity of the cell membrane, and that is the amount of saturated and unsaturated fatty acids. You know, I told you What are, okay, firstly, what is a saturated fatty acid
A
and
saturated
unsaturated?
fatty acid
Mhm.
has contains a carbon-carbon double bond. No, no, saturated doesn't contain carbon-carbon double bond. Unsaturated fatty acid contains carbon-carbon double bond.
Yes. Saturated fatty
Saturated
acid,
fatty acids,
hmm. They
they're
have all
they're solid, right?
single bond.
Yeah.
Single, all are the single bonds. And yes,
And
are they solid at room temperature or liquid at room temperature?
they're solid at room temperature.
Yes, they are solid at room temperature. Okay, and when we talk about the unsaturated ones, that is opposite of it.
Unsaturated, they contain carbon-carbon double bond
Hmm.
and
There
are
are,
liquid at room temperature.
there can be, not all the bonds are double bonds. There can be some of the carbon-carbon double bonds present. Okay, and there can
Yeah.
be single bond, and there can be triple bond as well, and unsaturation. And it will be liquid at room temperature. The unsaturated fatty acids are liquid at room temperature. Just like we talk about the oil. Okay, and when we talk about ghee, ghee is solid, right? You know the difference between ghee and the oil, the butter, cheese.
They're both liquid though.
Sorry, oil is liquid. Right?
Yeah.
Oil is unsaturated, and the ghee or the butter, you can say, or the cheese, that is solid.
Solid.
Yeah, ghee. What do you say ghee in English? That is butter or cheese?
Butter.
Okay,
Butter.
okay. And what is cheese? Cheese is
Cheese
paneer.
is
My sister is saying
paneer?
cheese is paneer. You know, we say in Urdu, paneer.
Is it called paneer?
Hmm.
In Urdu?
What do you say in
Paneer is
Urdu?
something else.
Oh, that is cheese. Isn't it cheese? You
I
can ask
haven't
your
said
mom
that.
and then tell me. I am not sure as well. I will ask my mom and you can ask your mom. Then we will discuss. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Why we are discussing about the saturated and unsaturated fatty acid? Basically, when you have an increased proportion of saturated fatty acid, then there will be less fluidity in the cell membrane. What I am saying is that increased proportion of saturated fatty acid. When there is increased proportion of saturated fatty acid in the cell membrane in phospholipid bilayer, then there will be less fluidity. Okay, and I can tell you the reason why is this so. There will be less fluidity because there will be high intermolecular forces. Now, what are intermolecular forces? You know, intermolecular forces present within the molecules.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The attraction between the molecules.
yes. So, the attraction between the molecules. So, there will be high intermolecular forces. When you have, when we talk about the, when there will be more saturated fatty acid, just like, let me draw this. When you have this one, like this. This is a phospholipid layer. Over here, this is the second one.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing. Your drawing is much more better than me, right? This is saturated one. Okay, in saturation, you have just straight chains. There is no branching. Whenever you have double bonds, in double bond you will have branching. Now, what is meant by branching? Let me
Branching,
show you.
non-linear.
Yeah, non-linear structure. You remember we have discussed that the non-linear structure.
Yeah.
I can show you an example as well. Saturated and unsaturated fatty acids. Yeah, this one. If you see this, you know this is a saturated fatty acid on the left side. There is no branching. This is a straight chain. Okay. But when we talk about the unsaturated fatty acid, in the unsaturated fatty acid, always there will be a branch where there will be a double bond. Remember this thing. Where there will be a double bond available in the unsaturated fatty acid chain, at that position, your chain will bend. Are you getting this?
What? Where there's a double bond, the chain will bend.
Wherever, whatever the position of the double bond, at that position, your chain will bend. This structure
Okay.
will bend there. Otherwise, if you don't have any double bond or triple bond, the structure will be straight, just like this. The first one. Are you clear with this?
Okay. Yeah.
They have highlighted this yellow part. So why what I am writing is over here is that this is saturated fatty acid. So you know in saturated fatty acid they are closely packed to each other. They are closely packed to each other, closely spaced, and that is why there is less fluidity. When there is increased proportion of saturated fatty acid, there is less fluidity because in this case there is high intermolecular forces present between these fatty acid chains. Are you getting this?
Yeah.
No?
No, I get it.
Very funny. I don't eat, that's why. Okay. Yeah, what I was saying, less fluidity in the cell membrane. Now more fluidity in the cell membrane. Sorry. Now we will talk about the. Okay, wait a minute.
Recording in progress.
When we talk about the more fluidity, now you can tell me what will be the consequences? What can be the factors for more fluidity in the cell membrane?
More fluidity in the cell membrane.
Hmm.
That there'll be a decrease in the increase in the permeability
There is what?
of the cell membrane. More if there's more fluidity in the cell membrane, it
Hmm.
will be more permeable.
No, I am asking what can be the factors for more fluidity.
Okay.
We are discussing the
Um,
factors. Okay, let me write it over
temperature
here.
and
Hmm.
yeah, temperature and the fatty acid chain.
Yes, the temperature and the fatty acid chain. Now you can tell me what can be the temperature in this case. Hmm.
If there's a high temperature,
Hmm.
if there's a high temperature, it will be very loosely packed.
There will be when there is high temperature, there will be less interaction, and the
And
yes
more fluid.
movement will be free. I'm just writing in
Yeah.
2 or 3 words. Movement will be free, and yeah, there will be more fluidity. I don't know why my G becomes like this every time I write high. Okay. Yes, and the other reason is in terms of the unsaturation. Now, if you see, in this case, we have discussed that when there is increased proportion of saturated fatty acid. Okay. Now, in this case, more fluidity will be when there is increased proportion of unsaturated
Okay.
fatty acid. Can you hear me now?
I can't. It's like glitching a lot.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let me check my internet. That's fine. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. When there is increased proportion of unsaturated fatty acid, then there will be
Hmm,
more
something's
fluidity.
glitching a lot.
Again, there is glitching.
When you talk, it's glitching a lot.
Hmm. Why there will be more fluidity? Firstly, let me write the reason. Because when you have unsaturated fatty acid, the chain will bend, right? Chains will bend. And when the chain will bend, what will happen? It will take more space. Now, they will take more space and there will be loose packing of the fatty acid chain. And there will be less intermolecular forces. Can you hear me now? Or still it is glitching? Hmm? Michelle, can you hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me now? If you see this over here, this part is saturated. Then there are, this is unsaturated part. Okay. So the unsaturation, at the unsaturation point, it will bend like this. Okay. So now it will take more space. And when it is taking more space, so obviously there will be more fluidity because there is loose packing now. I hope you are clear with this. Are you getting this? What I have written? The concept of fluidity. Because when there is, we say that when there is high temperature, the movement of the molecules is free, and that is why there is more fluidity in the cell membrane. And but when we talk about that there is increased proportion of the unsaturated fatty acid chain, uh, the chain will bend on the unsaturation point, and due to this bending, they will occupy more space, and there will be loose packing. Okay, and yes.